Also, Sam, equally, Newcastle, do they deserve to qualify for it? Bear in mind, the Villa absolutely turned them over 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We sit back and watch him go to Newcastle, I'll be absolutely gutted. I'll be absolutely gutted.
But Newcastle going a goal down. Aston Villa only needed a draw. So to score that goal, then to hang on for 15, 20 minutes after the game. I'm just so disappointed in our officials.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope things are well. It's been an amazing time to be a Newcastle United fan. We are back into the Champions League. We have won silverware last season, and the transfer window opens tomorrow. This is a Newcastle team that has no PSR restrictions. They are ready to go, and it's going to be a very exciting and non-stop, I would say, on the channel. But since we have a day of the calm before the storm, let's just take you back through the years of all the shite that social media, ex-football players, YouTube channels, just this media bias / agenda towards Newcastle. Let's soak it all in. Let's react to it. Let's enjoy it, because the meltdown last week was sensational. But just before we begin, 58% of you watching this video are not subscribed to the channel, so make sure you get down there, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any upcoming content. It's going to be a hectic summer and it's going to be non-stop, so make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss the likes of this. And let's start off the trip down memory lane, Gabriel of Bonglaho, when Eddie Howe was first appointed as Newcastle United manager.
Cold,
yeah.
Southampton.
I've already written Newcastle down, by the way.
Yeah, Newcastle capital letters, put them in. I don't think Newcastle and Norwich are going to be cut adrift. I think that these teams are going to keep losing games, not picking up points. So it's going to be down to 7 teams, I feel.
Yeah, that losing again today. It was Eddie Howe's first game in the dugout. Do you think there are any positives he can take away from that performance earlier?
No positives.
Oh, Gabby.
You know what? What I didn't understand is that, like, there were some Newcastle players that have come out and said they feel fitter with Eddie Howe in there, but it didn't look like that today. Like, Newcastle fans are quick to have a go at Steve Bruce for the way he was getting the players to perform, but there was no better performance from anyone out there today.
Eddie Howe has barely been in the dugout at this point, and already you can just see the Bonglaho agenda come in, comparing him immediately to Steve Bruce, already trying to put Steve Bruce into a good light and just trying to name Eddie Howe as much as possible, just trying to almost shame our manager, just to make sure Eddie Howe got off to the worst possible start.
If you got a phone call saying, Gabby, Newcastle, we're in trouble. We've got a big fight on our hands, but we'll double your money. Where'd you go?
Yeah, I'll be there. I think, you know what, that's funny though, because...
You'll be in the Lamborghini up the A1.
I'll be like, yeah, I love the city, I've always wanted to live in Newcastle, great place.
It is.
But players will go there for the money, let's be honest. When I was playing in the Premier League, Newcastle was the place where you were thinking, I'm not sure, I don't really want to go, that far north, the weather, I'm not sure about that.
I know it's cold, but it is a great city.
Yeah, but players want to be close to London, closer to London was the attraction.
But you've got a chance to be a hero to some of the best fans in the world.
But you'd have to pay more. If you offered now a player £40,000 a week at Newcastle or £30,000 a week at Brentford, they'd go to Brentford.
And that is the famous clip from a few years ago. I would rather go to Brentford on less money than sign for Newcastle. Obviously, that is a horrible take, and I never quite understand this. It's always a bit of a common opinion, I would say, where people just down-talk Newcastle as a city, and they always big up London to be like one of the nicest, most luxurious cities in the world. Now, London, I've been there a lot, of course, on the way days. I'm probably in London about 10 times a year now. London is not the nicest place, I'm going to be honest. It is a bit of a dump in some areas now. I'm not saying Newcastle isn't, I'm not saying our places aren't as well, but London is not the be-all, end-all, one of the nicest, cleanest cities in the world. It's just not true. It's got some nice landmarks, but ultimately, it's just not the nicest place. Traffic's a nightmare. I don't think it's for players. Players aren't going to go, it's London, I'm going to move there. Some players, in some circumstances, might pick London over Newcastle, but they're not going to choose one city over the other one. They'll choose a football club that is the best for them on a personal level. And I never quite understand this. Newcastle, London, Manchester, whatever this city thing is. People are not going to turn Newcastle down because of the city. They'll turn Newcastle United down for other factors. Take it back to last season. Start of the year, Eddie Howe hasn't had the best of transfer windows at Newcastle, and this is Gabriel Obongaho's opinions on what Eddie Howe is going to do next at the football club.
Eddie Howe would have been frustrated at the transfer window, and if he can get out and go and manage his country, I'm sure he will. So if I was the FA, I'd use that to their advantage.
So do you think if you were Eddie Howe, you would take it if you were
100% now? Because the frustration, I don't think Newcastle finish in the top 4. I don't think their squad has got enough depth in it. He would have been disappointed not to get Gahey in, even some more replacements up front as well with Callum Wilson's injury problems. So I think part of Eddie Howe now would have changed his thinking of like, okay then, maybe I will look at that England job now.
Again, you can just see the Newcastle agenda coming through here. Eddie Howe is not going to stay at the football club. It won't end well for him. He's going to take the national team job. No knowledge whatsoever, and he's working for TalkSport. So the two of those correlate quite well. But first off, Eddie Howe has a release clause at Newcastle United. The FA can't just walk into Newcastle and take Eddie Howe off us. They have to pay good money to bring him in. And that's why they didn't even attempt to bring him in last summer, because the FA is not going to pump that money into him. And secondly, Eddie Howe is not that sort of manager. I think the national team job one day he will take at some point. I think he is currently the best English manager in the world. However, it's not a job I think Eddie Howe is best suited him, because Eddie Howe is so good on his day-to-day operations and his man management. Whereas at a national team job, players, there you are, 2 weeks, you got them, they're gone. Come back in a couple months' time, 2 weeks, they're gone. Eddie Howe needs to be able to slowly get into the players week by week and day by day, and that's what he is able to do so well at Newcastle United, to really turn a player that is, on our point of view, might not be the best, and then turn him into an unbelievable player. He can't do that with the national team. He gets given a bunch of players, he has to do what he can with them in a couple of weeks, and then they're gone again. So for him, it's not the sort of manager he is. He's a day-to-day manager, and I don't need to be an expert to tell you that. You guys know that. I think opposition fans know that as well. And of course, guess who doesn't know that at TalkSport? Shock.
I get it. Aston Villa were very poor. Did not turn up. Not one player turned up yesterday. Poor performance. But Newcastle going a goal down. Aston Villa only needed a draw. So to score that goal, then to hang on for 15, 20 minutes after the game. I'm just so disappointed in our officials.
And that is why I wanted to include Gabriel Obongaho in this video. The meltdown at the end of the season. He's whinging at the officials. Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? He's whinging at the fact that it was Newcastle that have got into the Champions League over Aston Villa. And I've seen this complaint a lot from the Aston Villa fans. Now, to be fair, their goal should have stood. That is a bit of a shambles. But in the same match, considering in the first half, your goalkeeper got one of the most stupidest red cards I think I've seen. That was the main reason I've lost that game. You can blame the Morgan Rogers goal all you want in the second half, but you yourselves got the red card. The goalkeeper was sent off for a stupid foul, and that was a key catalyst of why Manchester United were able to gain confidence in the game, and that's why they beat you guys. So yes, we failed to do our job against Everton, but we qualified for the Champions League because throughout the rest of the season, we had the points, and you guys blew it. You blew it in the big match, and Gabriel Obongaho, you can sit there, you can moan all you want. After all the years of the smack and crap you have been saying about Newcastle, take it in and shut your mouth. And speaking of ex-football players who have been talking smack and crap about Newcastle after all these years, Rio Ferdinand, I have not forgotten about you. Just look at that reaction the moment Tottenham won the Europa League final. That one moment is the moment where everything slipped out of your hands. Champions League football is gone. You've lost £90 million on the spot. You actually have to pay Adidas £10 million because of the contract where Manchester United need to be a Champions League club. So they've lost £10 million because of that clause. And he was sitting there as upset and disappointed as ever. But Rio Ferdinand, we never forgot what you said back in 2019.
A lot of them tell me is that you have an opinion of the club because you sell a lot of your merchandise through Mike Ashley's stores. Let's just clear that up for a start. You don't. This is your opinion.
I don't even know him really well.
Right.
I will get to know him.
So what's your issue?
My issue is it's got nothing to do with like you just said, business dealings that I've got with his company. I just think that when they went down, he spent £50 odd million to get him back up.
Yeah.
Of his own money.
Yeah.
Thank you. That should.
Why was it his money? Wasn't it Newcastle's money they generated
Well,
in their time in the Premier League?
he's the owner. And by the way, please say thank you for getting Rafa Benitez in, because really, by rights, they're lucky to have him.
Well, I think it was Rafa Benitez that approached Newcastle with the idea of going there as manager.
He's still got him.
In terms of what I have heard over the years about Newcastle and what I've seen opposition fans and players say about us, I still stand by. That is the worst I've ever seen or heard from any player. Infuriating. I remember at the time as well, because Rio Ferdinand had his own products that were being sold in Sports Direct, so he was then coming out in social media, I mean, kissing the literal backside of Mike Ashley on social media, talking down Newcastle. It's our fault. We're doing it wrong, not the owner. It is so infuriating. I've never ever forgot that one, and that is one that has always sunk down in the back of my mind. So every single time we as Newcastle fans see Rio Ferdinand just lose it, we always enjoy it, and he is the literal definition of a... I'm not going to do it because I don't want to swear on camera, but you probably know what this sign means, and that's what I think of Rio Ferdinand.
Mbeumo makes amazing runs and also gets himself in good positions, but also has the final end product, has the strength, has the dribbling ability. It's everything we need. And if we sit back and watch him go to Newcastle, I'll be absolutely gutted. I'll be absolutely gutted. It just feels like I'm going to have to sit here and watch rivals go and sign the players I want to sign. And people will say in the comments, Beth, but you're signing Cunha. Don't be greedy, you're signing Cunha. I'm buzzing about signing Cunha, but it's not enough.
And speaking of Manchester United, here we are with the Brian and Bruno situation. United stand, just talking down Newcastle now. This is a fan opinion I see quite a lot as well. I'm not going to single out this girl here, but the way she comes across, if we lose Brian to Newcastle, it's not Brian picking Newcastle because we've done well with a good spot. It's if we lose out on him. It's always this mindset of Manchester United. We're a much superior club than Newcastle. Now, historically, of course, they are. 10 years ago, of course, they were. Now, the issue being is that one club is in the Champions League. One club doesn't have European football. One club finished in the top 5 of the league. One club finished in the top 15 of the league. One club has a more sustainable future. One club does not. And we can go back and forth all we want. But Newcastle currently is a much better and bigger move for a player to make. Manchester United is in tatters. It hasn't got a future as things stand. It is in the player's best interest to not sign for Manchester United. And even when you look outside of Manchester United, Anthony, Marcus Rashford, both out on loan last season. Do you think it's a coincidence that these players, Scott McTominay just left Manchester United, do you think it's a coincidence that these players actually perform better and are better players when they leave Manchester United? I don't think that is a coincidence. I think every single player is better off not being there. Manchester United, of course, still is a massive club. They still win trophies even when they are rubbish, but they're not sustainable. And I think for a player like Brian and Bruno, they're not going to pick Manchester United. Why in God's earth would he join Manchester United? He's playing for Brentford now. He's already got a bigger upgrade now. Why would he go to Manchester United? It just doesn't make any sense. And comments like that, I think, are quite arrogant, self-entitled, and just constantly looking down Newcastle. Who is she and who is United stand to look down Newcastle? Because let's be real, Newcastle currently is a much better club to be playing at. And I don't think anyone can argue with that. You've got to look at the stats, and people like this are heavily deluded and are entitled.
But to see that decision made against us, all I can talk about, because it's absolutely critical.
And also, Sam, equally, Newcastle, do they deserve to qualify for it? Bear in mind, the Villa absolutely turned them over 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Let me just...
Does Newcastle United deserve to play in the Champions League? Is this guy for real? What do you think we've been doing all season long? What? Because we lost to Everton in our last game of the season, we don't deserve to be there? What? Because Aston Villa smashes at Villa Park in the second half, we don't deserve to be there? Well, where do those points come from? What did we do in the other 36 matches? The points don't just pop up in the league table. We haven't fluked our way into the top 5. We are there because we deserve to be there. Sure, Aston Villa had the chance on the day against Manchester United. Even a draw would have been enough to send them into the Champions League. But a stupid red card, bad game management, and a team that ultimately just fell short on the day. I'm not saying we didn't do the same because we didn't play well against Everton, but you can't say Newcastle does not deserve to be in the Champions League, because how are we in the top 5 then? We didn't just turn up there. We'll be in the top 5 because our form's been sensational. just behind Liverpool and Arsenal, our form is actually the best in 2025. That's why Newcastle is there. And that is an Eddie Howe's squad as well. That has been heavily restricted by PSR. Aston Villa, I know they've been restricted as well, but that Jack Grealish sale a few years back has helped them on a short-term basis. But Newcastle hasn't had a player sale like that, and we haven't spent in 2 years. We haven't had an improvement in our team in 2 years, and we are still in the Champions League because we have earned it. So you can sit there all you want, you can go, do they deserve to be there? Yes, we do. Take it in, take a look at it. You tell me now, Newcastle does not deserve to play in the Champions League, because we have this on our sleeve, and I'm telling you now, we deserve to be in the Champions League. That's why we're there, and that's why Aston Villa is not. Unlucky, unfortunate, but they were not as good as Newcastle last season, and that's why they finished outside. Apologies for that at the end. I can't lie, that guy set me off a bit. Do we deserve to play in the Champions League? Oh, what planet are some people on? I swear, I'm infuriating. But that's what TalkSport does, and to be fair, that's the idea of TalkSport. They want people like you guys, for example, to go call TalkSport and to do exactly what I'm doing now, and just to rage and just to say everything under the sun, because of course that gives TalkSport attention, clicks, and we give it awareness on social media. I know I'm doing exactly that now, but I'm criticising it. We're having fun, and I don't think TalkSport's going to benefit that much from me making a video on it. I'm just here to have a good time. I'm here for you guys to enjoy yourselves. So whatever you plan on doing for the rest of your day, just to know the club is in a good state. I think this is Newcastle's best possible scenario since the takeover. I haven't felt like we've looked healthier since the takeover. This is also our peak. I think we can continue to grow on that peak as well. But best I've personally seen in my lifetime. I think Newcastle will continue to be better. So enjoy it, take it all in, enjoy the ride that Newcastle is taking you on. Don't let anyone out there tell you that Newcastle does not deserve this, because we do. Tell them we do, because we have done it in the league table. That is why we're in the Champions League, because we finished in the top 5. So yeah, mental times we live in. But I hope you enjoyed it anyway. Hope you enjoyed looking back at these ex-football players and these opposition fans that talk down Newcastle. And this is the sort of thing you like, let me know. We can come back and do some more, because I'm willing to bet there are hundreds of examples like this of just absolute morons talking about this football club in a negative light. So you guys enjoy it, take care, and we will see you all in the next one.